Arithmetical players standings after 6 rounds of Swiss are posted. Sorry for that little delay. We're going to start top 8 in a few minutes.
Ale też nie dałem ci pełnej informacji, bo ja odmawiałem z tego. Najpierw chodźcie na mecz. Potem piszcie statement. Dominik, Jarosław. You are in the top, right? Both? I will make a mistake.
Hello and welcome back to the final round of the RPTQ live from Szczecin, Poland. We have concluded all the investigations, all matters have been set straight, and we are getting ready to watch our final match for the day. And we are going to see, for sure, Dominik Prosek, I know that. So he was playing Control today.
Yes, Control, yes, that is right.
Yes, and he's going to play against the player whose name I unfortunately forgot, but he was playing yesterday first round, and he was playing Esper as well. So you might see a mirror. What a way to conclude this tournament.
Yeah, those two fine gentlemen battling it out for a
great players.
Pro Tour invite.
Yes, nothing new for them going to the Pro Tour. But it's always good to be back, I guess. So we're gonna see how it goes.
Like it wasn't completely. It was like he was like 60% to be there. I was like 40% to be there. So it was a gamble, and I was hoping the tiebreaker will improve. And they just wanted to like influence it this way, like simply change the result after they knew what happened. Yeah, it was completely insane. Like when we saw them.
All right. So Dominik Prosek and Jaroslav Bocek. So it's of course not round 6, it's the quarterfinal, so the only elimination round we are going to play today. And the winner of this match is going to go to the Pro Tour.
Final.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it is indeed.
It is the final
round. So those two fine gentlemen are battling it out for a Pro Tour invite, as I said, in an Esper control mirror match.
Unless, of course, Jaroslav has changed his deck overnight. That is also possible. I haven't seen him play today.
Quotation marks final now. So.
All right. Of course, our broadcast is brought to you by MTG Spot, Ultimate Guard, Card Market EU, Runtime GG, Extra Studios, Świat Kawy i Herbaty, and psychatalk.pl. So let's see, what are the opening hands? Seems pretty Esper to me, so we're gonna have a mirror match.
Indeed it is. These games can go kind of long, but they also can get finished early. Dominik was on the play, opening with Watery Grave and met with an extra Watery Grave of Jaroslav. So.
And I thought Rager to start the shenanigans.
Yeah.
A bit land heavy.
Please give me our ID. I need to see that we are ready.
Dominik discards a precognitive preconception. There's a limited amount of cards that are relevant, and this is a huge draw spell, so he wants to get rid of that. There are ways to answer Teferi, and Vraska's Contempt is actually not doing anything else other than answering Teferi, so it's reasonable not to take it. Jaroslav is keeping his hand open because, well, it was revealed from
the Thought Erasure, so just as a courtesy, of course.
Yes. Showing a probably few too many lands for his tastes. Playing untapped ones to maybe instill some fear of Chemister's insight into Dominik. The thing is that it's not going to instill that much of fear, too much fear.
Dominik's hand, on the other hand, looks quite much.
There's like the Fairy and there's a Negate, two excellent cards in the middle match.
And a few dead cards as well.
So of course it would be really strong for Dominik to just jump the Teferi, resolve it and hold up a Negate, but you cannot rely on that. There are cards that are not known in Jaroslav's hand, and it's it takes a lot of courage to just jam it into open mana like that.
It's a very gutsy move.
We have a bit of a stalemate in which Jaroslav is taking advantage of the fact that his hand is not entirely known to his opponent, and they can play a longer game, which favors Jaroslav and allows him to draw a more heavy, a bigger hand, make more land drops and pull ahead in that way.
Now they're playing just a game of draw go.
Yeah, draw go, land go, land go, land go.
Nobody's willing to fire off the first shot.
Yeah, that's because typically the first person to
Do something.
blink is going to get punished and then lose. That is how the counterspell mirror matches frequently work. Photo Eraser is a big mirror breaker in this regard. Like, it just allows you to make moves which you otherwise would not have, just because you don't know what's going on. So Dominic is saving that for later and is going to fire it off at a more fitting opportunity if he finds one. Because you don't want to just jam it, you want to jam it when the time is right.
Jam it, but intelligently. Not
Yeah,
just jam it. A Mortify finds the target.
Yeah.
Finally, some use for the cards from the hand.
It's
For Dominic.
kinda not easy not to trade for a number for a Mortify at this point. So Dominic again just passes, planning on inciting end of turn, but Yaroslav draws his Chromium, and Chromium is, you know, kinda potent here. It is going to die to Kaya's Wrath if Dominic casts that, but you know, Yaroslav can fight that.
And,
It's
you
unlikely
know,
that it's a thing that he wants to do, given the limited amount of reasonable resources. But like you know, you might have as well try. It is better to play Chromium early in the game than it is to play it later in the game, since it's going to lose some of its power. Because at some point your opponent is for sure going to have a Chaos Wrath in their hand, but it's not always necessarily going to be true early in the game. Dominic considering his options, deciding whether it's reasonable to fire off the second Chemist's Insight because there is no great card to discard. He ditches the second Chaos Wrath because he has a Chaos Wrath
now he untaps.
already.
and
Now he untaps and wants to jam it, I assume.
Checks if the
Starting
coast
with
is
the
clear.
Photo Eraser. So Photo Eraser probably will prompt a negate. Is there an Absorb in Yaroslav's hand too? I believe it's an Absorb. Or maybe it's a Chaos Wrath. Those cards' artworks are eerily similar when you are looking from a distance. So I don't know, it could have been both.
I think it's Kaya's Wrath.
Okay. Dominic negates back because he knows that there is a copy of Teferi, so like for sure there is a good target in Yaroslav's hand. It's going to eliminate Teferi from the hand, get his Surveil 1 value, cast a Chaos Wrath to clear the Elder Dragon, and already has played his land.
Draws another copy of Kaya's Wrath.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity for Dominic to just play Teferi. Like you know your opponent only has one card that you don't know about. You draw an excellent card and absorb yourself. So you just play Teferi and try to ultimate it.
Oh, it wasn't Kaya's Wrath. I guess those artworks do look similar. However, it's gonna get absorbed back, so Dominic's going back up to 12.
So now Dominic only has one Syncopate. Syncopate is not the best answer in the world. Right now you can Syncopate for 4.
Now
He also
significantly
has a
more.
lot of lands to pay for it, and Dominic also has a lot of lands to
Play from his hand as well.
So you know, the Syncopate is going to be useful at this point, since he knows that like only you know, only one card can be relevant in Yaroslav's hand. So you can like syncopate freely for pretty huge amount. Yaroslav really failed to draw those Vraska's Contempts to deal with the ferry on time, and one more turn until we see the emblem. And I believe you just fire off the emblem right away, because there's no great punish for that. Chemister's Insight. Chemister's Insight costs lots of mana, so...
The classic, let me take a look at your graveyard if there is anything funny, since I'm gonna scoop up anyway.
I mean, he probably will cast the Insight. Doesn't know about the Syncopate, so... He's going to try to hit the Vraska's Contempt, and Vraska's Contempt will get countered. Disallow no longer available in the format.
However, there is a card that counters triggered or activated ability.
Yeah, like that.
It's the Simic Split, rare.
So I guess technically if you really want to, you can find a reason that to ultimate your Teferi in the Esper Mirror match, but that requires some mental gymnastics.
Oh yeah, it does. Think of it as the ultimate mirror breaker.
Literally, because it's, you know, only breaks the mirror when Teferi is about to ultimate, so this is why it's an ultimate mirror breaker and not any other kind of mirror breaker. Is Dominic going to syncopate that? You could, but I don't...
On the left side of the screen you can see the standings after the 6 rounds of Swiss. So you can see our players who are in the top 8.
Has 9 mana. It's like Vraska's Contempt plus another Vraska's Contempt plus a counter spell. You know, there's a combination of free cards that Yaroslav could use to fight those syncopates. Kinda, but like you still would rather just fight on the later ones than the early one. Well, I guess not necessarily, since like what you're playing around is this Chemister's Insight drawing 2 copies of relevant cards. So Dominic making sure what is the best way to do this, and is casting a syncopate. That's no, it's extremely hard to tap for, it seems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now he forces Yaroslav to pay 6 extra manas for his syncopate for the Chemister's Insight to resolve. So if Yaroslav does that, then he only has 3 mana left, so then he can play Vraska's Contempt, and Yaroslav is free to ultimate the Fairy Hero of Dominaria.
Does decide to pay 6 mana.
Did he play a land this turn already or not?
I think he did not.
Okay, because if he did not play land, he actually can have access to 4 mana, but like, of course Dominic has that covered with a second syncopate, so, well.
I guess the last turn you will for sure pay this one. How many cards?
I think they're just figuring that out.
I don't remember. If your opponent agrees with my opinion, then you don't. Yeah, he doesn't know. You don't know it, but I don't know. Can we somehow check it from the commentator or something? Okay, we can. But we are really not sure. Maybe we can ask head judge. I really don't know. For me,
so the question here is whether Yaroslav has played his land for the turn, you know, when there are so many lands on the battlefield, you kind of stop paying attention to that.
Yeah, it's
Or you
easily
might
missed.
just
Like, for example, I was just asking the same question. I also missed that, so
yeah,
I'm not sure if he has played the land or yet or not.
yeah.
What I'm
and
sure
that
about
might be
is that it's ultimately not going to be relevant to the outcome of the game, because I believe the Teferi emblem is fatal, and we do, of course, know that Dominic has a second copy of Syncopate, and even if you know, Yaroslav already decided to pay the mana for the Chemist's Insight, so even if he were to draw a Rascal's Contempt, the Contempt would get countered by Syncopate, then Teferi would get ultimated, and then...
I mean, we could also skip all this by just showing another copy of Syncopate.
Yeah, I know.
Make it all easier.
So you asked for looking on the stream, and I am not allowed to.
Okay, so can we?
So we can try to figure out if you played the land or not.
Yeah.
Just talking about.
Okay.
So
we have a judge intervention here, making, you know, judge call, making sure whether Yaroslav has played this land for turn this turn or not, since it's not going to be too easy, because there were some land drops missed throughout the game, and you know, the game took a bunch of turns.
Like
because in other hand it's impossible to...
we just want to make it fair, you know, so that's the only thing.
We have no idea, have I? We have no clue.
I have no idea. Okej, mogę na chwilkę? Żeby nie patrzeć.
Nie, oni...
Maybe some
No
people...
one knows, that's great.
Maybe some people they watch stream.
Maybe Twitch chat knows.
Maybe Twitch chat knows everything.
Maybe Twitch chat is actually sure of that.
Twitch chat has lethal.
I mean, let's actually check if that's maybe a possible route to...
Okay, so this is it... What?
Because it's hard to retrieve the
I'm playing this main phase.
And the other mana, what was it?
information from just what we have access to right now.
That's completely okay. We don't know. The turn took like 2 minutes, and we passed most of the last turn, so there was...
Do you remember what happened last turn?
Yeah, he passed the Teferi and passed.
So you did nothing and he did nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything was...
So there was like no way to determine for us.
Exactly. That's unfortunately the issue with the situation.
But we already tried to figure out what happened, that's the point. There was a lot of thinking, nothing happened, and he played the spell, then there was a lot of thinking here, then he played the Syncopate, and then he, wow, did that...
Well, the super useful...
Maybe.
The super useful answer from the Twitch chat is maybe.
Somebody's checking the past broadcast, so thank you for that.
Yeah. You know, some people do use some sneaky methods to you know, indicate whether they have played a land for the turn or not. Like some people do write like L on their notepad or something like that. So then it is known whether the land has been played by a person or not. Some people just like write a line
or set the land aside from the rest to indicate that this is the land they just played.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we do need to wait for this.
We shouldn't figure it out by checking the stream. It's like saying that you shouldn't use Wikipedia to write your homework.
No, I mean it's.
Of course,
it
I'm
is
just
actually
joking.
it is actually correct.
Of course,
like
I know that it's not allowed to use video evidence to take back plays or something. There were a couple of cases like that.
yeah, we need to wait through this judge investigation, and then we could maybe move forward. Oh, I see that Dominic is just casting his extra syncopate and ultimating the Teferi, and that's
And
enough
yeah.
to Kashi.
I think it was like 10 before, but the turns were so fast.
Okay, so Yaroslav has ultimately decided to concede the game. There was nothing much that he could do in the face of Teferi Ultimate. So we will move on to game number 2 between these two guys. After sideboard, we expect some Thieves of Sanity, of course.
Okay, yeah. So ultimately we agreed, we arrived at a conclusion. It did not actually ended up mattering in game, so the players can pretty comfortably move to game 2 and 3 and play the post-board ones, which are going to be more interesting since again there is less dead cards in the as per mirror match and the post-board games, and you know the pre-board ones are kind of not ideal.
But if he didn't play land, resolve the chemic, because if he play land and resolve
I was able to the game when he was on the
Okay, so after this heated gaming moment has passed, both players are going to remove their Chaos Wrath from their decks, their Moment of Cravings cast downs. I guess not really all the cast downs, since well, Thief of Sanity is a great card in the mirror match. As we have seen before yesterday, watching some of the mirror matches, Thief of Sanity is what dictates in a large part the Esper Control post-board mirror match. It keeps people honest, makes them leave some removal spells in their decks, it's like they are not completely naked to that, and they are not just full-on playing with some, you know, incredible amount of negates and dresses and just focus on the spell battle. There's actually some creatures to be concerned about too, so
And
that adds a layer to the matchup
we
and makes
see
it more
Yaroslav
interesting.
boarding in a card that he has brought also the day before, so Arguel's Bloodfast.
Yeah, Argyle Bloodfast can be weak to Mortify, but can also run away with the game. So pretty decent card overall for just this specific matchup, and probably has some extra uses too.
Players thinking in their time, sideboarding, shuffling, talking to judges.
I mean, yeah, yes. Probably discussing again, like the multitude of cascading implications of this missing land drop situation, have I played the land, etc. type stuff. So going to see game 3 soon. Too soon, I guess. Like before game 3 has happened, is going to happen. Game 3 has to happen. This time Yaroslav is going to be on the play, probably, if he chooses to do so. With discard spells and Thief of Sanity, I cannot believe players wanting to actively take the draw, so that's what I expect to see. The players are good friends, they know each other for a long time, so they enjoy some banter. Or maybe just talk. Maybe it's not actually banter. Maybe calling it banter was a misrepresentation of all the things. I don't actually speak Czech. Okay, let's move towards the game.
Let's start playing.
I didn't cash anything till the end of the year.
Casters are asking us to play.
Gotta give that gentle push in a direction sometimes.
There is a Thought Erasure, there is an Absorb. This is a good hand for Yaroslav on the side of Dominic.
Decent. Like one of the most important things is to have lands, so you are not missing land drops. Then you also want to have some relevant spells, and it seems like Dominic's hand is slightly more heavy on relevant spells. Probably take Thief of Sanity there, unless
try to fight those
unless Yaroslav had a removal spell for it in his hand, but I didn't see that. No, there's an Absorb, so he doesn't want to let the Thief resolve because that's not the position where he wants to engage at.
Thought Erasure back.
Yeah.
We see another Thought Erasure and Absorb.
The players are going to basically strip their hands naked, but still nobody has any threats yet, so it's going to be a matter of top decking, and the ample amount of counter spells on both sides will assure that this game is going to go long. That is, unless Yaroslav manages to slip a Thief of Sanity immediately into the battlefield.
That is something that the negates cannot cover, so that might be the plan.
It's an interesting choice on Dominic's part. Like, you would assume that if you end up taking Absorb, then Yaroslav is going to fire his Thought Erasure off to take one of your negates right away anyway, so you cannot use it for a tempo advantage later on, and he gets the
most you can do
surveil.
The most you can do is to actually. Oh yeah.
Like you can. So like Dominic can either choose to. Whether he wants both players to have a counterspell shield up, but his shield is only double negate, so it's weak towards Thief of Sanity, or he can make the players top deck more, but then Yaroslav gets to surveil with his
Thought Erasure.
Thought Erasure, dig deeper into his deck, so ultimately he chooses the Absorb, interestingly. So like that puts him in a similar position, like now he is the one who can top deck Thief of Sanity too, and you can see that he keeps his card on top of the deck, so it's probably a nice one. See, he goes with the play that makes both players top, basically like play more from a top deck position.
So Yaroslav is going to fire off his copy of Thought Erasure, get the negate out of Dominic's hand.
And get some scry value,
Yes.
play tap Shockland, and let's see what's the card that Dominic left on top. Is it a Thief of Sanity? No, it's
No,
some
it's
kind of
not.
a reactive card. The way he drawn it is not really doesn't really wish to show it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yaroslav has all lands. Dominic, on the other hand, has a good spell that he has a good card he left in his hand, in addition to a Vraska's Contempt and an extra land. So
Yaroslav has just
the
drawn a
game,
negate.
yeah, the game has advanced into make land drops, don't do anything state for the next few minutes, I would assume. I don't even believe Yaroslav wants to fire off his Thought Erasure right away, knowing about the negate, but maybe he wants. Maybe he wants to do so.
I guess he just wanted to surveil value or just strip that negate, try to fight through it.
Or you might want to negate back, although I do not find it...
that is not a negate, that's Syncopate in Yaroslav's hand.
No, it is a negate. It is a Rivals of Ixalan negate. I'm pretty positive about that.
Okay.
It's my favorite artwork of negate, and I play with it in all my arena decks.
Oh yeah, really. It is.
The joke here is that it's the only one that's available on arena, so you cannot actually play with other negate artworks. But it is also
Interesting.
actually my favorite one, and I do play with it the most. So I believe Yaroslav found a relevant spell on top, so it is a Teferi. Not going to play it into the Vraska's Contempt, and getting burned by this duress if Dominic decides to play that. But Dominic thinks that it's not good enough, and now Yaroslav draws a duress, so wow. That turned out to be a terrible exchange for Dominic.
Oh wow.
Even though I will be kinda eager to just try to stick my Teferi and take the 2 for 1 for Vraska's Contempt, but Yaroslav was not about it. He chose to try to draw something to protect his Teferi from the Vraska's Contempt he knew about, and got rewarded. I assume Dominic's line of thought was similar to mine, that was not the play that he was expecting Yaroslav to make had he drawn a Teferi.
Teferi going up, drawing some cards.
And the chemistry is inside this. A Thief of Sanity, that's
Oh yeah.
probably actually the end of the game. Not even bothering to untap his lands end of turn, but... Not casting his chemistry inside too? Okay.
Sure. Sure. Alright, Thief of Sanity being tugged by Teferi.
Attack with Thief, take your Thief,
Take your Thief.
replay your Thief, and Dominic thinks that's too much and he doesn't want to.
Yaroslav squares things up. We are going to get
Thief of
game number
Sanity,
3.
Phage the Untouchable.
Except it's better because you do not immediately lose when you get it in Mommer Basic.
It also has very limited value in Mommer Basic, yes.
Yup.
Although I guess a 3 mana 2/2 flyer is nothing to scoff at. It's like a pretty playable card in Mommer standards.
Yeah.
Both players checking their sideboards. They did not consider Basilica Bellhound to be playable enough to play it. It just discards a random card and well, requires a removal spell at some point. It's a board presence, but they at least Dominic does not consider it to be good enough for his post-board configuration. Which I do find reasonable. Not sure if Yaroslav has changed anything in his configuration. There are two sleeves lying on the table, so probably changing something up for the game when he's on the draw, because you probably want some more copies on like cheaper removal, like a cast down or two for Thief of Sanity, which you would not necessarily want when you are on the play. When you are on the play, a Brasco's Contempt should suffice at dealing with Thief of Sanity, since your opponent is going to tap out for it and you can play your Brasco's Contempt on turn 4 after your opponent has taken their turn 3 to play the Thief, and it's not a line that's available if you are on the draw, because, well, you just won't have time. The Thief will hit you, and that's the thing that everybody is waking up in the middle of the night in cold sweat, having nightmares about. So
Can confirm, woke up, had sweats after all those Thief of Sanity hits that I witnessed yesterday, and today the nightmare is going to begin anew.
So both players in a position where they are only just one game away from
The Pro Tour.
From acquiring the invite, the Pro Tour, the Mythic Championship London.
Perhaps not the most exciting of locations you could go to for the Pro Tour. However, it is a Pro Tour nonetheless. The prestige of the event does not diminish.
You could have seen how Dominic actually took a while before revealing the last card to himself, and it turned out to be a land, making his hand very good instead of not the most ideal hand that there ever was.
Are we going to see Thought Erasure? Yes.
No, it's a turn to search for Ascanta.
Still, that's pretty good.
Yaroslav has his Argyll's Bloodfast present in his opening hand.
So 2 powerful enchantments hitting the battlefield early on.
Dominic is probably just looking for trying to stick a Thief of Sanity right now, trying to get a hit with it. So, like, that's checking whether Yaroslav has a Mortify or not to deal with that powerful monsters. It seems like that is not the case. Yaroslav has only lands and absorbs. So the Thief can start stealing, and that's pretty huge advantage early in the game. You can see the Thief trigger. It's pretty hard to rebuild from that.
What did he take?
A Mortify.
A Mortify.
Perfect to answer
the
Argyll's Bloodfast. If Yaroslav draws a card with Bloodfast end of turn, we could see a Mortify onto it, but Dominic might also just think that it's not worth it to try to deal with that just yet and keep up his double Syncopate. And Syncopate doesn't work that great as a double spell, but let's see if he decides to do that. He probably really wants to protect the Thief. Thief makes, the Thief damage does pile up, and Thief damage is relevant, especially given the fact that Argyll's Bloodfast also costs life. So Yaroslav already at 12. Thief is stealing a Teferi, a powerful planeswalker. Dominic's advantage might not be as pronounced as we thought a minute before, though, because Yaroslav manages to draw a bunch of cards with the Argyll's Bloodfast, and
Dominic is stuck on 4 lands.
Yes, Dominic is stuck on some amount of lands, and well, Yaroslav gets to develop and eventually maybe even flip the Argyll's Bloodfast.
Now the The duress reveals the hand of double syncopate, mortify, and tutor fairy.
Press away a mortify, and well, doesn't really have a clear play. And actually has to discard a card in his cleanup step. Well, this game is relatively close. Yaroslav is going to be a little low life total, but he's trying to get that mana advantage, possibly by flipping Argus Bloodfast ultimately to maybe try to sneak a Thief on his own. It's going to be pretty hard for him though. He doesn't have any removal spell for the Thief, and Thief is going to keep hitting. The same Mortify and the Teferi, so like those cards don't actually get as much options for Dominic, although notably the fact that there was only one Mortify in Dominic's hand made Yaroslav discard the Mortify, and this was not necessarily the best card to discard from Yaroslav's perspective, but he didn't. He has no way of knowing what cards are actually exiled with Thief of Sanity.
Yeah, and he just went for the least redundant option in his opinion. Now he reveals a precognitive perception
For the Razor, and I believe it's a Notion Rain. So Notion Rain is a nice one, but you cannot really afford to tap out for it. It would allow you to hit your land drops, but it's pretty hard to justify tapping out for it just now. For this reason, you could take Precognitive Preconception, which you can cast end of turn once with your 5th land, and then like you just should have much less trouble hitting your 8, like 6, 7, 8. Looks like Dominic is going though with a 4th Erasure, so he has an extra discard spell available.
And indeed that was a Notion Rain.
Oh yeah, he has a 5th land already, so I guess he's just going to cast a 4th Erasure right now. Let's see if Yaroslav fires off an Absorb on that.
And he does.
Dominic not willing to fight and not willing to tap out of his Syncopate mana. It seems like we have results from the 3 other matches that have already been finished. This Esper Control Mirror match, unsurprisingly, going to Game 3, it's the last one to finish. In a match between Maciej Dolata and Adam Strzelecki, Maciej Dolata, also known as Rudy from Poznań, a member of last year's Magic's World Cup
Poland national team,
managed to win and qualify for the Pro Tour, so congratulations for Maciej.
Congrats Maciej, very good job. And of course congrats to Adam as well, you know, it's still an accomplishment. It stings, but...
In another match, Lori Pispa, who you might know as a winner of GP, was it Copenhagen, I believe? A modern GP, maybe it was Prague. I don't actually remember.
A modern GP in Europe.
He was a winner of a modern GP with a Hardened Scales deck last year. He managed to win his match over Simon Legg and qualified himself for the PT London. Congratulations for Lori. And the last player to qualify for the PT in the 3rd match is Josef Zivec, who qualified over Fabian Engelsdorfer. Josef was the player who we had the pleasure of watching during the last round of Swiss, and
His drakes.
yeah, his drakes prevailed over
Yeah.
Sebastian.
Yes, and here he
And here he gets to qualify for the PT, which is pretty nice achievement.
dealing
So
with the salty control of Fabian Engelsdorfer that we also saw on screen.
True.
Yeah.
So congratulations to those 3 qualified players.
So
Maciej
now-
Dolata, Lori Pispa and Josef Zivec.
So now let's see who joins them. We have one last Pro Tour invitation to give out.
You know, those 3 people so far, they will be able to call themselves the last people to ever qualify for the PT.
Mhm.
I mean,
Through the
through the
RPTQ.
RPTQ system.
Thought erasure.
In the meantime, something had happened in this game, but well, Dominic
Has it a ferry.
has it a ferry, which is pretty huge.
Yaroslav doesn't have a Teferi.
Yeah, in addition to Thief of Sanity being still active, puts Yaroslav in a pretty tough spot.
Now with a Teferi, Yaroslav tucks in the Thief of Sanity. And let's see what happens next. I guess there is still an additional Teferi and what was the other card stolen by the thief?
Yeah, the Dominic still hasn't found a use for his syncopates.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely have some problems attached to those.
Mm-hmm.
It ditches the Photo Erasure, draws a card that's in Absorb, so the opposing Teferi will stick.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Dominic still has a Mortify available
Yeah.
underneath those Thief of Sanity cards.
Yes, there is a
So-
Mortify and there is a Teferi.
He can deal with Argyll's Bloodfast to not let Yaroslav draw more cards with the help of that, if he chooses so.
And he will still get to untap some lands,
He also gets to draw a card off of the ferry,
which is a
which
Thief of
is the
Sanity.
Thief of Sanity. So there is also some value in just replaying that. Thief of Sanity notably threatens the ferry. So that might be what Dominic is looking to do after all, but the Mortify option is also somewhat attractive. I'm not entirely sure how many cards Yaroslav is left with, but it seems like it's not much. Or they are piled up really nicely.
Nah, not much.
3 cards in hand right now. So during the 4th one, a Mortify. There's a Search for Ascanta. I believe 2 lands. One of them is a Hallowed Fountain. An Expedition Hallowed Fountain. So Yaroslav leads with a Search for Ascanta. Dominic might be interested in mortifying that. Might also not be interested in doing that. You know, you might also want to counter this, but it's somewhat it's probably fine to counter it. Like, you probably want to start spending your syncopates somehow, and like the only way to spend your syncopates ever is to get your opponent to tap down really low this turn, but it's a tough sell for Yaroslav to do that. Also, he knows about the syncopates, so it's really hard to hope to get to use them well. Dominic is going up to 16 life. Duress trades for one of those syncopates, and end of turn Yaroslav will get to untap his 2 lands, and
Even though he's only at 8 life, he will play this Hallowed Fountain untapped. He needs all the mana he can get to get around that syncopate.
technically he would need just 1. So
So
he just wants to draw the extra card with the Bloodfast immediately. It's going to mortify the Thief of Sanity, and there's an actual negate right there, which saves the Thief of Sanity and gives some pretty huge advantage to
Dominic.
Dominic in the end, because I believe that the last card is still a Mortify, so he gets to flip his Search for Ashkanta plus the Fairy, Mortify the Bloodfast, kill Yaroslav's Teferi, and leave Yaroslav with just a single card in hand, and that card would be a land, so you know, we might be watching a turning point of this game, the point where it's all getting decided, but let's see how it unravels. Dominic has flipped his Search for Ashkanta, draws an extra card with Teferi indeed. His hand right now, yeah, kills off the Teferi. His hand includes a Karn, Scion of Urza too. You actually might not even want to bother with Argus Bloodfast, arguably, since Yaroslav is at 6 lives, so there's a very limited amount of uses that he is left with for those cards, but it's arguable.
Well, there are some cards like Absorb that gain some life, so
Would
you
also
might find other.
Would also not be surprised if Dominic would just play Karn and make a construct that's also a legit line at this point to threaten Yaroslav's life total. But you know, with the Proto Invite on the line, he would prefer to think his lines through deeply and not jam too headlong into anything. Indeed, he goes to the make a construct line.
There is a 1/1.
Lead the pack.
Oh yeah, the that this is the 1/1 that will lead the pack, because there will be more, you know.
Yeah. Yaroslav goes to 4 life, so right now he needs to do something, otherwise the threats are lethal. Karn will going to make an extra construct, and
There is 4 power on the board then.
there will be 4 power on the board.
Chromium the draw.
He draws a Chromium. If there is still like Chromium actually allows him to survive pretty well,
And
especially if you combine it with the Temple of Aklatots, which allows to sacrifice Chromium for 7 life. It is only a means of delaying the end though, so not an overall great plan with a winning strategy. So you know, if we had an advantage bar available right now, it would be pointing
very hard. Dominic.
Towards Dominic.
Syncopate, Absorb, and another copy of the Fairy in Nick's hand. I think he's got it.
Making a construct, moving to combat, attacking with both monsters. Facing a Chromium. So, you know, like there's the time where we actually get to see whether the last card is actually Mortify or not. Last Thief card is actually Mortify or not, because I'm not entirely sure. I think it is.
Interestingly, Yaroslav can sacrifice Chromium to gain 7 points of life.
Yeah, I have mentioned that before. But no, it is just a ways of delaying the inevitable more so than a winning line. So, I know, is the last card is the last Thief card a Is the last card actually not a Mortify? Or is Dominic going to cast it post-combat? There's not much point in doing that. But I see that Dominic actually is going to use his Teferi to attack the dragon. He took a look at the remaining cards, so I have no idea what it is, but I probably should, as a good commentator, should, but I guess I have failed.
We have failed because we wanted to deliver most information about the rest of the top 4.
It is true though that Yaroslav managed to.
I'm glad you didn't find the guys, the white guys.
So Yaroslav managed to get a few draw steps, and well, still in the presence of Absorb and Syncopate, and Dominic's hand is going to be pretty tough to resolve anything. So no, Yaroslav can try to play his Teferi, but that's gonna get absorbed most likely. Since we do know that Dominic has an Absorb revealed Alpha Vascanta, the Sunken Ruin.
And he extends the hand.
Makes him extend the hand. So congratulations for Dominic Prosek for qualifying for the Mythic Championship in London. He's one of the 4 players that managed to qualify for that.
So yeah, congrats. Slow clap. Actually a big clap. Quite a fast clap. Alright. So that actually more or less concludes our coverage of this event. So thank you for being with us for the whole 2 days. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. If there are things that you would like to see us improve, of course let us know. And we hope to see you either on some tournaments organized by us or not organized by us somewhere in Poland or in Europe. You are going to see him on various events, on Pro Tour, on the MPL, on his stream. Shameless plug.
That is true. Tune in, I'm streaming 9 AM to 3 PM Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, MTG Arena and Magic Online.
Alright.
And I'm sponsored by Wizards to do so I'm obligated to tell you that every time I mention my stream.
Really, are you? Hashtag sponsored?
That is actually the law.
Alright, good.
So again,
good.
congratulations to the players who managed to qualify. To repeat, Dominic Prosek, Maciej Dolata, Lori Pispa, and Josef Zivec are the players who get to go to London in June.
And of course we would like to thank our sponsors. So for the last time, MTG Spot, Ultimate Guard, Cardmarket.eu, Runtime GG, Extra Studios, Świat Kawy i Herbaty, and Psychotog.pl. Thank you, and see you next time.
Black can try to play his Teferi, but that's gonna get absorbed more.